Toyin, I'm gonna turn the laptop in a bit, and then you're gonna see a group of amazing feminists who've been with us on a program called Challenging Patriarchy, in collaboration with APF. Everyone, this is Toyin. I'll also ask her to introduce herself, and then I'll turn the computer so she can see you. She's the Executive Director of Education as a Vaccine, which is based in Nigeria. And Education as a Vaccine supports the right to health and freedom for children from all forms of violence, and also adolescents and young people. Toyin, you can also add anything you want to add, introducing yourself.
Okay.
Turn the camera so you can see the
So,
room.
hi everyone. Thanks for having me. Like Yasmin said, my name is Toyin Chukwudozie. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm the Executive Director of Education as a Vaccine. Our organization works to advance the rights of adolescents and young people, especially their sexual reproductive health and rights. And for 22 years, we've been at the forefront of advocacy for rights of adolescents and young people, to information and to services that helps them, to fulfill their potential, especially for adolescent girls and young women who we know in our context are more disproportionately affected by the issues and the barriers to access to sexual reproductive health that are rooted in all forms of patriarchy, in negative gender norms, negative perceptions and stereotypes, discrimination. So that's what we've done in the last many years. And I'm really happy to be here this morning for me, afternoon for you, to share with you and learn with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toyin. Toyin, you can hear me, right?
Sure, I can, yes.
Okay, great. Could you tell us a bit about some of the challenges you faced as a leader in the feminist space?
Thanks. So what has been one of the biggest challenges for me is being a younger woman and in this sort of leadership capacity within the broader, space, broader movements of feminists. So I would say that I've come from a journey of, not being such a visible person in the space and in the movement. So I've done a lot of background work in my organization. I've contributed to, the engine room per se, and not the person who is, very much out there. And so coming into leadership of my organization, it's also forcing me to be out there and be a voice, be a representation for our group, for younger women, and then also having to then directly deal with all kinds of dynamics of, people who are trying to understand, who is this girl, where's she from, what's her background, what's her story. And of course, when you're in leadership, you have to really acknowledge that, there's a lot of power and privilege that has come with that capacity and that responsibility that's given to you, no matter the level, where you're playing at. And this is something that within the broader movement, not everybody would, be accepting of you immediately. Not everybody would be, welcoming of you. So I've had to struggle sometimes with, how do I fit in? Because you see, there's this people who they've been on this forever, all their lives, and you're such a young person, you have a lot of this, energy and these ideas, and, you want to change this, you want to do that. But then when you're in the space, you really have to slow down and understand, like, okay, what's going on with every other person. I expected that, just because we say we share same values and same principles, that, you'd be accepted by everyone. But I've seen that, that's not such an easy terrain. another thing I would say is that, when you also want to assess, certain things from your own, perspective and experience, you can find that people, can, they might be like, oh, wait. It's not exactly, this is not how it works, and you're struggling to, to say to yourself, but these are the principles that we hold, right? These are the values that we hold. So why is it not? I mean, it should be, everybody should live by this, So I've had to sit back sometimes and just be like, okay, let me watch first, and see what I do next. But I would say that I've taken for granted that maybe, this is something that all of us would agree with, but I've now learned also that, people are at different places in their journey. People are at different stages and phases, and the way these interacts with our personalities is also different. And, the same grace that I expect to be extended to me, I also should learn to extend to other people.
That's very eloquent, Toyin. Thank you. Is there any advice you would tell your younger self, like your younger feminist self, anything that you've learned that you wish you knew earlier, perhaps?
I'll say that I'll tell myself that, it's important to scan the space and identify, the people who are more on a similar trajectory with you. There's a lot of, like I said earlier, not everybody would be accepting of you. But I'll say that what I'll tell myself is, don't get so disappointed when this happens. Find those ones who really are more accepting of you, are more drawn towards, what you're drawn to, and, get the support that you can get from them. Because when you find these people, I guarantee you, they're very much willing to support you. They're very much willing to comfort you. And so find, your group of comfort, your group, that understands you, that shares solidarity with you, and let that be, what drives you as well. Let that contribute to what is driving you. Let it also give you energy. And also just understand that it's okay, that we are celebrating our diversity as well. And so when it comes to the space, the expectation that everybody should be like you, that shouldn't be, that you should think twice about that. And, just also know that it's okay that, we're all different in the way we're thinking, in the way we're approaching issues, but still find your group of people, your niche, of people who gets you. That would be really helpful.
Okay, thank you so much, Toyin. That's very insightful as well. And obviously, in today's world, like, feminists, activists, change makers, we face a lot of challenges in terms of like surveillance, or in terms of cyberbullying, or other issues in each of our contexts. So how would you advise that young feminists stay resilient in those kinds of contexts?
Yeah, the reality is that feminism comes up against a lot of opposition. There's, I think I've heard somewhere also, and I agree, that it's also part of the strategy of the opposition, to keep feminism stigmatized, to keep feminism, sounding like something that is really horrible, And so when you're out there, online spaces, physical spaces, the fact that you share a view, there's such vicious attack on you. There's such, vicious attack on your ideologies, on your perspective and your stand on issues. But you really have to know that, they are struggling so hard to keep our voices down, to keep us in a place where they continue to use the patriarchy to, overshadow the voices of women, girls, diverse people, gender diverse people, and they really want your voice to be down. And so the fact that you're speaking up, the fact that you're saying something, whether in an online space or whether in a physical space, it's something that you should cherish, and, just don't give in to that kind of bullying, right? Because that's what the patriarchy does. It bullies people into silence. But that's why I also said earlier that I have profited from, the solidarity of a group of people who are constantly, supporting, we're supporting each other. And, when you feel, the punch, because the punch will come in different ways. So when you feel the punch, you can always fall back to your group of comfort people, and they help you with even strategies. They help you with other ways to take care of yourself. So we are not going to just give in, because that is what the patriarchy wants. That's what the patriarchal system wants, to force us into a position where we cower, and then we are like, okay, I give up, right? But we know that the values we stand for, the work that we're doing as activists, that it is very important. It's critical to advancing social justice and equality for everybody. And so we know that there's a lot of people who have also come before us, and we wouldn't even have the platforms to stand on now without the work of feminists who have come before us. And they also faced a lot of backlash. You can imagine in, those years, many years back, when they stood on these perspectives of theirs, how much opposition that they would have. So we also owe it to the generations coming after us to make sure that, we don't cower, we don't give in, and then we can draw strength from our collective power, draw strength from our collective solidarity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Toyin. I think we can open to just one question so that we can move with the agenda. So does anyone have any questions for Toyin? No?
Hey, ask me something.
Yes. Remember to introduce yourself, like think and close.
Hello.
Hi. What was that? Was that a private joke?
Do you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
But I can't see you. Can I see your face?
Yeah, turn around.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yes, yes.
You mentioned that while you were starting out, it was so hard for you. And then you had to you said the background work to get visibility for what you are doing in your country. But I'd like to know, how was that like? Because there's so many other people that will do so much work, but will still not get the visibility, will still, not get into certain spaces. So how were you able to navigate that and to be the person that you are today? Yeah.
Thank you. So I would really attribute a lot of it to the platform that my organization has provided, because like I said, we've been in the space for a long time. And so a lot of it had to do with also the fact that there was already a pathway, to enter in such spaces. The people who had gone before me had opened up space for me. So I would really attribute a lot of it to the opening up of space by people who had gone before me. And so it was easier to, be in the room. But then when you're in the room, you then have to show, what you come with, right? You have to show what you're also capable of contributing to the progress of the conversations and of the work. And so that part is now yours. And then you have to take the time to understand, understand the issue, understand have an analysis of it, because what actually is required in my opinion, what actually is required of me in every space that I find myself is, what is my analysis of this? And my analysis of this is informed by so many things. It's informed by my lived experiences, my lived realities. It's informed by the experiences and realities of other young women, young people who I interact with, who are in my community, who are in my country, So that analysis is what I'm expected to bring. I'm not supposed to sound like the biggest expert in the room, no, but I'm supposed to bring that experience to bear, in those conversations. And that's what makes me unique, right? And makes each and every one of us unique in, what we're coming with. And then, of course, when you're bringing your experience and your lived realities, the realities of everyone who you represent, you're also looking at a feminist analysis of it as well. So in this conversation right now, how do I approach this from a feminist lens with what I know and what I have lived? How do I dissect this in a way that I am ensuring that, I'm not promoting any system of oppression, right? So when I'm in those spaces, for me, I have my voice. That's the only thing I have, right? Yes, people have opened up the space for me, but then I have to use my voice as well, to share my experiences, and share my analysis and thinking of these things. For me, I'll say that's just the way to put yourself in the room, right? And not feel like, other people would overshadow your perspectives. It doesn't matter. You just have to put it out there. And in my experience, I would say that when you start out, it doesn't feel like, oh, you're making so much progress. But then you look at yourself 1 year down the line, 6 months down the line, and you're more confident in yourself. You're more confident in what you want to share. You're more confident in, joining the conversation and analyzing these issues. And it becomes, I believe it becomes easier as you move out there. But as per the visibility, a lot of it has to do with, how spaces are opened up for you as well, which is why I stand for opening up spaces for other young people and not letting it be just about me, letting it be just about one person, but also creating the opportunity for others to, be part of these conversations and also bring their own experiences and analysis to bear. I hope that helped you some. You can just wave so I know it did. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, I think we can make time for one more question. Yeah, Helen? Okay, so do we have any questions for Toyin? Anyone else? Yeah, so she can see you. Or you can stand. You can stand.
Yeah,
or
I can see you. But can I hear? Okay.
Maybe microphone? Yeah.
Thank you for your time. My question is, when you experience burnout as a feminist space, what do you do and how do you tackle it? And the last question is, have you ever been in a space where you've been threatened as a feminist? And if you're threatened, the person or the people threatening you have influence, and maybe they're in a higher capacity than you. And this, I may refer like a politician. I'm talking because I've been in that space, and it's really made me to go like underwater to rethink and strategize on how to come back. And that's the reason why I quitted going on the street and shouting. So I'm doing it like, I'm finding ways to do it so professionally. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The first question about burnout. Yes, we all experience burnout. I think the goal is to help ourselves to be in a place where we don't have to get to the point where we're burnt out. Yeah. So this conscious effort to take care of yourself. It's a struggle, to be honest. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of, things that, you have to deal with It's also very frustrating, the space we operate in, and how difficult it can be sometimes when something has moved one step forward and then it moves 10 steps backwards. There's so many ways that our lives are being challenged. We have families, we have friends, people have expectations of us, we have colleagues. All of that can really thin you out. So for me, yes, I have experienced, points of, I've had it. But like I said, the one thing that I have really held on to is, I go back to what I said about this group of people who share solidarity with me. It's something that I can't put a price on it, right? Just last week I was in a very tough, situation. Like, I was so tensed. And then I just reached out to one person and I'm like, see, my body is a bunch of knots. Like, I don't even know what, like, I feel so tense. I'm in this room, I'm in this meeting, but I'm not here, and all that. And when by the time they started saying to me, okay, like, what can I do to support you? Have you tried this? Have I tried that? In an hour or so, we had gotten to a point where I felt a little bit clearer. I had some clarity. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And she's literally saying, stop, breathe, just breathe, So I've benefited from that kind of solidarity. And to be honest, that has been such a great help for me. But I also consciously tell myself that there's a need to not work myself up to the point where I'm burnt out. So have those pointers to, this is a pointer to getting stressed. This is a pointer to being frustrated. This is an indicator that I'm on the way to this path, and I don't want to get to that path where I'm completely burnt out. So there's a lot of work that we need to do on ourselves to understand ourselves, to discover ourselves, and so that we can identify, those points of how do I say, the triggers or the indicators that we are getting, into this other space where we could be burnt out, and try to avoid it. And sometimes we might not be able to avoid it, but we can honestly talk about it and say, this is what I experienced. I, for one, am someone who I am very expressive about the way I feel. And I don't even have to know you for so long before I'm like, see, this is exactly what I'm going through. And you could offer something or you couldn't, but just talking about it helps me. I know it's not the same for everybody, but that's why we need to understand ourselves and discover ourselves, so that you can identify those points, that lead to the eventual burnout, so that we don't get there. And then really, really, really surround yourself with 1, 2, 3 people, other feminists like you, who share that um who can share in comfort and solidarity with you. Those are very key for me. And to the next question about being threatened, I have been threatened. I've not been threatened by a politician, but I have been threatened by people who actually hold a lot of power, even within the space. People who have influence, and who, such influence could have an effect on me, if, not handled well. How have I handled, such things? I have cried. I have, sometimes I've gotten off a phone call all composed, and immediately I ended the call. I just like let it out, and then for like a couple minutes, I'm back to, okay, now, what can I do? The one thing that I am convinced of is that I'm on a path in my life that is important to me. This is important to my purpose as a person. And so while things will be thrown at me, I should know that this is really something that I'm striving to achieve for my purpose. And I know that this contributes to this contributes to the lives of so many people. And so what I need to do is, take a step back and find out what's the best way to deal with this issue. I can identify people who I know maybe either know this person or have gone before me or have more experience than me, and I can share this is the way this is playing out. And I've seen that by the time I've spoken to one or two persons in my circle, both the more experienced people on my level, I'm able to like get some more clarity about how to deal with the situation. So in the moment, it does feel very overwhelming. It feels like it's something that is insurmountable. Insurmountable. I hope that's the word. But something like you cannot overcome. But eventually, I have seen that it is possible to overcome this. I mean, the periods of time when you're frustrated with that situation can be very real to you. But yes, with the help and support of people, you really can overcome it. And then, like I said, you just know within yourself that this is not a point for you to give up, really, because a lot depends on you and what you're doing in this space. I would also say that I've also learned that not everybody knows how to use their power, and so when these things happen, I also reflect on the fact that not everybody knows how to use their power. Not everybody knows how to appropriate power. And so when people have used their power over me in such damaging ways, I also tell myself that, and that helps me personally. It does help me a lot to say, well, I'm just also learning that I can't be like this person. I can't use my power in this way. And so I'll say that. So a combination of this is what I've eventually used to like get through such situations. If it requires that I stay low for some time, I will, because I have to also take care of myself, right? But it's not for me to completely throw in the towel. I hope that helped you. Thanks. Oh, bye everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toyin.
Thanks, Jasmine. I hope it's
Really
been a useful time for you. I really am so honored to share the space with you. And I hope that on your journey, you do find, you find comfort, you find solidarity, and that you find a shared experience, that supports you throughout the work that you do and the lives that you live. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toyin. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Bye.